Hello and welcome to I Am with Eric Faria. I am your host, and today it is my pleasure to talk to Pat Lavin. She's a hypnotherapist and a writer. So let's get to it. Hi, Pat.
Hi, and it's Lavin.
Lavin. There we go.
Sorry,
See?
everybody does that.
No, it's okay.
Thank
So I'm glad that you corrected me. I won't make that mistake again.
Okay,
So, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, I'm delighted to be on the show.
Thank you. And I would like to start by asking you, how did you get into hypnotherapy? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Um, sure. I was in sales, and I wasn't doing very well. And a friend of mine was married to a psychiatrist, and he was going to take certification in hypnotherapy as part of his practice. And she invited me along because she figured she'd be bored just going shopping by herself. It was going to be in another city.
Yeah.
And I went along, and we were invited to the brunch that all the psychiatrists were attending. And they did a demonstration of hypnosis. And she looked at me, and I looked at her, and we said, we're not going anywhere. And we stayed. We stayed for the whole thing. And we were actually given sort of honorary certificates, and it was just a very amazing experience, and really affected me to the point where I read up on hypnosis and eventually went and got certified myself.
Oh, wow. So what can
It was a fluke.
Oh, there you go. But sometimes that's the way life happens, right?
Absolutely.
The things that you least expect turn out to be major things in our lives. So what can you say about hypnotherapy for people who might have that idea of what we see on TV and movies that might not be closer to the truth of what it actually is?
I know. I know. Well, actually, when I first started out, that was the big question that everybody asked me when they would make an appointment to come in for hypnosis, and then their first question came from fear of the whole process. And so they would always ask, "You're not going to make me cluck like a chicken, are you?" And I actually had a chicken put on my business card when I first started out, just so we could get that question passed.
Out of the way,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I think so many places, because it is an exciting thing and it's a mysterious thing to most people. So I think that the powers that be capitalize on it. It's a great subject for movies and all kinds of entertainment, and of course advertising uses it, politics uses it.
Yeah.
But the real hypnosis to fear is the hypnosis that you're not aware of, that's just out there in general and in the world, because it can be used for evil, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, it can, just think about going to, or watching commercials, for instance, on TV. When you're sitting in front of a television set and you go into a relaxed state of mind where you're not on guard or you're just kind of looking at the screen, things are fed to you. And that's why commercials are so incredibly expensive.
Effective.
Like Super Bowl is a perfect example of
Right,
people
right.
sitting there eating potato chips and just taking it all in,
hypnotized by
right?
all the commercials
And
that
they
they're seeing.
spend what now? Thousands,
Millions.
millions,
Yeah.
billions probably of dollars on each commercial.
Right, right,
So
right.
that tells you something.
Wow.
You know, advertising is very powerful.
So the only hypnosis to be afraid of is the one that you can't control or that you're not aware of.
It's that I think we all need to be educated that there is a state of mind, the subconscious mind, that is open to suggestion. And so as we wander through this world, we're having these things thrown at us all the time. But it's a natural state of mind, and that's where I come in. That's what I'd like to teach people.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. So if it's a natural state of mind, how do we get to that state?
Well, we go through it all the time. We're just not aware of it. But you and I are speaking to each other right now out of what's known as beta. And beta is the intellect. And it's sort of the watchdog of your inner self. Okay? So you're looking at me and you're listening to what I have to say, and you're judging and you're questioning and you're sizing me up, right? That's what we do with each other.
Sure.
when we don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're trying to determine for yourself whether this woman really knows what she's talking about, right? So you're in beta.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get to know me better and perhaps trust me, and I convince you that maybe I do know what I'm talking about, you will relax and you will let yourself go into another state of mind, a natural state of mind, which is alpha, which is the imagination, the creativity. It's the state below your heightened intellect state, and that's hypnosis. And you go in and out of it all day long. You daydream, you look at your cell phone, you watch TV.
Right.
You know, you're on a train and you just kind of gloss over. That's alpha. It's also, it's the very creative state that all artists work out of, writers work out of it, musicians, because you're in that. If you were in your heightened intellectual state, you'd be choosing what color to paint instead of allowing your intuition to work. So, but they work together too. It's not like you go into a box.
Wow. So the alpha state is really a state of creativity.
It is, yes, it is.
Huh. I never knew that. So
I know.
Just learned something new. So, yeah.
Einstein said that the intellect or beta is the faithful servant because it protects you. It works for you to keep your inner self protected.
Yeah.
And he called the alpha state the sacred gift, which some people even consider, and I've come to feel that it's the gateway to the soul, to the inner self.
Sure, that is so profound. If more people knew about it like that, I feel like hypnotherapy would be much more popular than what it is nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've put a label on it, and then
perhaps a stigma, right?
Sort of commercialized it, and I think intentionally frightened people of the whole idea, because then they'd be more cautious about the ads that they're being influenced by, or even the politicians that they're being influenced by.
Yeah, of course, and that we elect, and and the message that is being fed to us. That is fantastic. So, just before we go for this first segment, is there anything that you would like people to find out about hypnotherapy so they can go and maybe experience it for themselves? Like something small or simple.
Well, first of all, you can read about it. I mean, libraries are full of information.
Become informed about it.
Yeah, you can always find books on hypnosis. It's a fascinating subject, and they're easy to read books. It's a technique. You have that state of mind, and you use it, and you go through it every day, every night before you go to sleep. So you're going to experience it and go through it. You're just not aware of it. But I would suggest getting a good book, taking a class. There are all kinds of classes that you can take. And then just perhaps even make an appointment with a hypnotherapist like me.
Of course. So that's good. So we're going to stop right here for this first segment, but I want to talk more about it with you. And for everybody watching, we will be right back after this break. Hello and welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria, and I will jump right in because we have so much to talk about. So, Pat, we were talking about how the average person can go and learn more about hypnotherapy, and you mentioned that the state of hypnotherapy is when you are connected to your soul, and I found that was very profound. So, can you talk a little bit about addiction? I know that we mentioned that when we were talking on the phone, like in our pre-interview, and I just wanted to hear from somebody like you who works with people and who are doing the work so people can become more aware about that big issue, because I feel like it's so important to talk about addiction and we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, we're really talking about with the whole opiate addiction. Yeah, through the years, and I've been doing this for about 20 years now, but over the years I've come in contact with many people who are addicts or considered addicts, alcoholics, even smokers, and smoking is one of the worst of all. But what I've learned or what I've discovered is that addiction is an escape from pain and fear and anxiety, and today, especially, our society is just filled with so much anxiety and so much fear. People barely even really talk to each other or make eye contact with each other. And so with hypnosis, one of the things that has to occur is you have to make eye contact. And you cannot be hypnotized unless you're just unaware of it, like with advertising or something like that. But if you're actually coming in for a hypnosis session, you can't be hypnotized unless you trust, unless you surrender. Right. And the only way you're going to trust is to surrender, or vice versa, actually, right? So that's huge, because there's such a lack of trust today. And there's such a fear of opening ourselves to others and making ourselves vulnerable. So some people just don't even know how to do it. The technology is so powerful, and we're so wrapped up in it that we've forgotten how to connect. And so that's the joy of what I do, is to not lecture people about how to connect, but to demonstrate to them that they still have it.
So they can experience
that it still exists, that it's an experience, And so the other part that of my work that I love is that I usually work in groups. I do work with individuals too, but I love working in groups. And the reason for that is that when people, and I hate to use the word are hypnotized, because really what I'm doing is helping people access a state of mind that they've forgotten that they have, and that's alpha. And that's a deep state of relaxation. And when they go into that state of mind, they have to first of all trust me, and then they surrender in a way that relaxes their body and relaxes that illusion of control that we all walk around with, this thing. Right. Okay. So in a group, when I count people down into the hypnotic state, which anybody can do, you can see the relaxation come over their face, and you can see their breath change, and they start to breathe deeply. And this is something that we've forgotten how to do too. We walk around so tense. So one of the exercises that I do with people before they actually go into that state is I ask them to try to create tension in their body by clenching their fists as tightly as they can. And then I let them open their hands and relax their hands completely and try to create the same tension.
Oh, again. So it's just like a simple exercise.
It's a simple exercise.
Just holding onto your hands, like as...
Do this.
Yeah, like grip.
Grip, grip, grip.
Yeah.
Now, relax, and just let your hands plop. Okay, plop. Fingers too, shake them out. Okay, now try to recreate that state in your body, that tense state in your body, without clenching your hands. Can you do it?
I'm trying to.
You're trying to. You have to try to create the tension.
Yeah.
So letting go is one of the most powerful states that we can live out of. When you're relaxed and open, just now, I saw your whole face.
I know, and I felt
and
that trying, to gain the control in my body just there.
Right.
Yeah, it was like tensed up.
And didn't this open up too?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's here when you open up? Your heart.
Yeah.
Right? And we are now, without you even realizing it, we're connected, we have eye contact. We're actually looking at each other. Because you forgot your self-consciousness, you let go of your pain, we all have it. We all walk around with this, right? And as soon as you let it go, okay, and then imagine going into a state, a mental state, that's a natural state that you possess, and you can go there anytime you want.
That is fantastic. It's an untapped territory, I feel, for most people, because unless I remember our very first guest on this show, she is a yoga instructor. And I was talking to her how some people have difficulty with yoga when they try it for the first time, right? And I feel like hypnosis would be a great way to actually get into the state that is necessary to just be present. Because sometimes it is so tough to just be in the moment. We're so connected, so wired for just, a check social media, like be on our phones or not look at each other in 2017, right?
We don't even know what a moment is.
Right, yeah. I sometimes get myself caught up in, mundane things, and I'm like, this is not really important right now. Why am I going through the comment section of like a Facebook post when I have actual things to do? And when I see it's like 30 minutes have passed by. So I feel like that's a great way to be connected. And
just, I think we felt it right away. As soon as you let go, there's a relationship.
There is. There's a trust. There's a partnership. Yeah.
And that's very exciting, and that's what people want.
Yeah.
And hypnosis can give it to all of us. We possess it already. It's not anything that we don't already have. So that's my joy, is teaching people how to access that.
Yeah. So, and just going back to the addiction before we end the segment, so would you say that addiction is another side of the same coin of lack of connection?
Oh, yes.
So if you don't have connection, there is
absolutely
cause for addiction.
I think our whole society believes that you have to be happy. That the minute you feel pain or sadness or grief or fear or anything like that, that we have to cover it up right away.
Wow.
And so
that's so sad, actually. I just realized that, but it is,
But we
true.
learn from our sadness.
Yeah.
I was with a Buddhist monk one time, and one of the lessons that he gave us was cry 4 times a day.
Wow, 4 times a day.
Because because crying isn't necessarily sadness. You cry when you see something beautiful.
Right, that's true.
You to tears.
Tears of joy. Yeah.
You cry when you laugh, laughter. And he said, cry 4 times. I walked out of there, and it was like, wow.
That's mind-changing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Wow, okay, I just have to stick with this for a moment. This is the perfect time to stop for this segment. But for everybody, if you got something out of this, just stick with us. I'm sure there will be more on the next segment. So I'll see you after this break. And welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria. I'm your host, and I will continue this very interesting conversation. So, Pat, I also wanted to ask you about something that you mentioned, before to me, which is, I think, very crucial, which is sleep. And I feel like in our society, in the United States of 2017, we don't get enough of it.
Yeah, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Well, not really big trouble, because sleep is, it's one of the states of mind. We were talking about hypnosis. We were talking about beta, which is the intellect, which is what we're speaking to out of right now. And then the next state is alpha state. And that's a subconscious, creative, imaginative state of mind, okay? And that's also the hypnotic state. Something we didn't mention before when we were talking was that the meditation is very popular right now, and the meditative state is alpha state. But it takes time to learn how to meditate and to just sit quietly, and
I've tried,
let yourself,
it's not the easiest
thing. It isn't, and it's worth it, because it does take you to that healing state of mind. But hypnosis, if you learn self-hypnosis or work with a qualified hypnotherapist, you can enter that meditative state in minutes and stay there.
Wow.
And use it, for all kinds of things, like sleep.
Yeah. Yes.
Because sleep is just another state of mind. We have all these states of mind already. Nobody has to do them to us. We don't have to have operations to get there, or medications. We have all of these abilities.
Yeah.
So every day you pass through alpha, through the hypnotic state, to get to delta, theta states of mind, which are the sleep states. And sleep, we've been discovering more and more, especially in our society today, we can't live without it.
Yeah,
we
that's
can't
true.
function without it. And I just heard this morning that it actually affects your immune system. One night of sleeplessness can affect your immune system. And we're all so concerned about our health and all of our
well-being.
Yes, our physical well-being. But we don't connect it to our states of mind, which are something that we pass in and out of all day long.
Yeah.
Most of us live always in beta. We even teach our children to stay in beta. When we send them to school, it's about staying in your intellect, stay in your intellect, take the test, you know, and get straight A's and all of that.
Sure.
But we actually used to have nap time in school when I went to school, and that was so that you could relax and go into these other states of mind and recover and then come back fresh. And we don't do that anymore.
I'm just learning so much right now. And so how do you think that we get back to the state of alpha in our educational system and teaching kids? How do we do that? Because otherwise we're just creating little robots.
I'm not sure.
Raising.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we want. Because we could do what we want. If we really want to help our children get back into their natural states of mind and alpha, it would take nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it already. All we have to do is use it in our classrooms, you know, and have workshops. We don't even have to have workshops. Just have a daily hypnosis session for children.
Right.
It would benefit all of us at the workplace. People working in their cubby holes and things where they have no privacy. If they could do self-hypnosis and they can learn it very easily, they could relax themselves right there in their little cubby and come back refreshed.
Oh.
So we have to.
Yeah.
We have to get to this point.
It doesn't take much. That's what I hear you saying. It doesn't take much because it doesn't cost anything because we already have it with us.
Yes, but we have to learn it. We have to want it.
Yeah.
We have to want it.
It might not be a related question, but I think it is. In the current political climate that we live in, right? And I'm not talking about whether you believe in one thing or for one party or the other one. Do you think that it is possible for us to have candidates who are actually connected to people at an alpha level rather than a beta level? Would the population be ready for someone like that, for a candidate like that to actually, you know, present himself or herself? I'm just thinking out loud here.
Well, it's already happening.
Yeah.
But you know, people ask me all the time because people are so afraid of the word hypnosis. The first thing they say is, "Are you going to make me do something stupid? Or are you going to control me, or whatever?" The truth of the matter is, we can be controlled in that state of mind. We are being controlled with our computers and our cell phones. We're getting that fed into us without doing any critical thinking. So the same thing is happening out there in politics. Messages are being stated over and over and over when people are sitting there in their alpha state eating potato chips, you know, and you hear the same words from the same candidates over and over and over. That's no accident.
Yeah.
It's no accident. So it's very, very important that we become aware of who we are.
Yeah.
You know, and how to protect ourselves against the hypnosis that's all around us, and start using the gift that we have, which I really believe is the gateway to the soul.
Fantastic.
The self, to the self.
That's fantastic. So moving from that state of unawareness to the state of awareness, right? From like beta to alpha.
Yeah.
So before we go, since the name of the show is I Am, I always ask my guests this question. If you had to define yourself today in this, you know, at this point in your life, what would you say, how would you define yourself if you were able to finish that sentence, I am?
Hmm. Wow. I am doing what I love most, which is working with a whole diverse groups of people and individuals, and relating to them in a way that I think is helping us all to become more connected and more human, more loving. So I guess that's who I am. I love that. I love what I do, and I love people, and I love to see the connection.
Connection, that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I am so grateful that you stopped by to talk to us today.
Thank you. I love talking about this.
No, it was my pleasure
Mm-hmm.
listening. I'm sure that, people at home watching this or listening to this are going to get so much, and just to be able to find more for themselves and to start that awakening process.
It's so simple,
Yeah,
and it's so profound.
indeed.
And I think that's what we're all looking for, something that we can feel deeply, but that it's not complicated. We already have it.
We already have it. People, we already
Keep your
have
hands
it.
open.
Yes, we already have it. So thank you so much for being here on the show. And I hope to, continue this conversation at some point. I would love to have you back.
Oh, thank you. I would love to be back.
Yes.
I love talking about it.
Thank you so much. So for everybody watching, if you want to learn more about Pat's work, we will put all of her information, her website, social media, so you can get in touch with her. And thank you for watching the show, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.